All right, so this is George. He's heard the question, but for the sake of the camera, I'll say it again. What do you think happens after this life? And then I'll ask more questions about it.
I guess my honest answer is I have no idea, but if I had to guess, I'd say nothing.
Okay. Do you hope that it's nothing? Like,
I don't.
What would
No,
you
I don't
hope
hope
for?
that.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that it's something else, but I mean that's my guess. I mean, there's no way to know, but that's
Right, and I'll be the first to say, like, I'm a Christian, and I do believe, I have certain beliefs, but the Christian faith is a faith,
Yeah.
I happen to believe it's a reasonable faith, and there's evidence for it, but bottom line, no scientist can prove anything,
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if we're talking about, like, scientific proof of what happens after we die, we're not going to have it. So I appreciate the, your ability to just say, you know what, I don't really know, but George, did you grow up in a religious home, or?
I mean, I went to Catholic school when I was a kid, and then probably when I was like in 5th grade, I really stopped. We weren't like really religious, like we just went to church and stuff, and then kind of stopped going.
Just because the family did?
Yeah, I mean, my mom's very religious, and my sister, they're not Catholic anymore. They go to like I don't know what you call it, like an evangelical church.
Maybe non-denominational?
Non-denominational church.
That's the church I go to.
Okay, but I mean,
it's a local church
I'm not religious at all.
Yeah. Have they tried to talk to you about your beliefs at all?
Yeah, it doesn't really go well.
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't see the world the same way, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm actually like an engineer. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess that shouldn't matter, but I can't see the world from their perspective. It's really difficult.
Like a spiritual perspective kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say you're an engineer, it's
like
more...
everything in my training is like, this is what, you believe in, like, there's no like belief. It's like, it's a fact. There's facts and there's things that aren't facts.
Yeah, and whether you believe it or not, it's not going to change it.
Yeah, like you can, I mean, it happens all the time. You think, okay, this is what's going to happen, or this is what should happen, and then the evidence comes back that it's not true. And then even though it bothers you, it doesn't matter. Like,
wishful thinking doesn't create a reality.
Exactly. Like, I mean, and it can be hard to accept, but at the same time, that's the way it is.
Yeah. And actually, I mean, as far as religion is concerned, like, I view it that way, like, whatever. So, like, I don't know, would you say you believe in God, or?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay. So you'd be an atheist or just agnostic? Agnostic means you just don't know, and I think that's what you basically said.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion, I guess. So
Yeah. Atheists tend to like have a strong opinion, almost to the point of like, okay, there is no God, and I know there is no God. Basically, what they're saying is they know everything there is to know.
Yeah,
in other words, like, they've been everywhere in the universe and they didn't find him, so but they haven't. So I appreciate the just the candor, of saying I don't know, but as like, and I'm sure this is true for all religious people, there is this belief that there is a reality after death, and whatever that, and I think, I don't even want to say religious people. Most people believe there's some sort of reality after death, and what we believe about it isn't going to change it. It is what it is, So, I guess I would ask, like, was there ever a time that you ever did believe that God existed, or?
Probably, I mean, when I was a kid, and like that's just what I was being taught at the church, like in the Catholic school and everything.
Never felt any sort of spiritual presence, or never had a spiritual experience of any sort?
Maybe when I was little, I don't remember.
Yeah. When I
pretty much since, I think I've pretty much stopped believing when I was, probably like 12 or 13 years old, so it's been a long time.
Yeah. What do you think it would take for you to believe God exists? I'm not talking about like the God of the Bible. I'm just talking about like a creator, that has a mind, that has a plan for this world, that sort of thing.
I never really thought about that, but I guess I would need some sort of direct evidence.
Yeah. Like a miracle or something?
Like an actual I don't know, something that can't be explained by physics or
Now we have, I'm sure you're aware of there are people that have experienced what they will say is miracles, right?
Oh yeah, sure, I know people say that.
Personally?
I don't know I don't know if I know anyone who thinks that, but I'm aware of the phenomenon.
So one thing I think about is, okay, let's say God does exist on this spiritual plane, and if everybody required, like if he had to satisfy everyone's requirements for believing in him, I think he would no longer exist on that spiritual plane. Just a few things to think about, like let's say everybody required a miracle, right? We're talking, what is there, 7 billion people in the world?
Yeah, probably more.
There would be so many miracles that they would no longer be seen as miracles. In other words, what you believe in is like the natural order, as far as like laws of physics and gravity and all sorts of, like natural laws. If there was that many miracles, we couldn't even say there's laws anymore. You know what I mean? It would be...
Yeah, I guess I have no...
Oh, sorry.
Something crazy just happened over there. I just have no experience with anything other than the physical world, so there's no way I can relate to it.
And I can say as a Christian, I don't think there's a few things that if I explained them to anybody else, they would say, well, that's just a coincidence. The timing of it, the odds of this happening. Okay, it's not a miracle in the sense that, I don't know, it's not a miracle in the sense that the laws of physics were broken. It's more the odds were broken. The odds of something happening at a certain time. So as I talk to people, a lot of people have experienced those kinds of things, As far as real miracles, I think the percentage, it'd be in the minority as far as, I don't know, maybe in other countries, maybe people who aren't maybe so scientifically based, maybe they do experience miracles. Mm-hmm. But maybe it's that God does exist and does perform miracles, but only a few people get to experience them, and then we have to take their word for it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess it's a possibility.
Yeah. Do you think that? A couple things also to think about. If you experienced a miracle, like let's say at this point in your life, right? Some crazy thing that you just can't explain. You believe in God, right? Then you go the rest of your life, 30, 40, 50 years, without seeing another one, right? Don't you think that there'd come a time when you'd start to think, did I really experience that or not? You know what I mean?
Probably.
You'd start to question, maybe I was on, like someone put something in my food or whatever, I hallucinated, or, see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll just tell you, my understanding of the Bible is that God is building a relationship with his people, okay? And it's a faith relationship. In other words, he doesn't intend for us to require that we see God sitting next to us or walking with us. And so I go through life and I have this relationship with God where, I pray, I hear God speaking mainly through reading the Bible or through maybe hearing it, from other people or whatever, but I don't depend on, like, I'm not constantly saying, God, I need to see you in order to follow you. And so what God is intending, my understanding, and you don't have to agree, but the Bible presents is that God wants a relationship. The Creator wants a relationship with mankind, with His creation, on an ongoing daily basis. And the only way that can happen without God actually appearing to us, like, say, in the form of a person or something we could see, is that it has to be on faith. And so the Bible actually teaches faith pleases God. So that's why, again, it's a Christian faith. It's not a I don't even know what else it would be. Okay. Do you feel like, do you understand of what the Christian message is?
I think I understand I have an understanding of what I feel like it should be, but I don't think it always sticks to that.
That's very true, as far as like people following it, but they're hypocrites or...
Well, yeah, that's kind of the way I see it a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the main takeaways I always had were, it's about, I guess I would just use 3 words. It would just be love, forgiveness, and taking care of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think when I think about it, those were my main takeaways when I had to read the Bible and the New Testament and everything. And I see so many people who, in my opinion, they call themselves Christians, but in my opinion, like they don't. They just
don't practice what they preach.
They don't practice what they preach at all.
Yeah.
And, that's also a huge turnoff for me. So.
Yeah. Like, even thinking back to when you were 14 or so, was there a certain reason that you feel like you stopped believing in God, or something like that, or like you saw hypocrisy, or just...
I'm sure that I can't remember specifically, and that probably was part of it. It was probably also just like I didn't see any evidence or anything.
You're a teenager, you're preoccupied, distracted, probably, I would guess.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't remember like a specific incident where I said, okay, I'm done. But
I grew up Lutheran, which is a lot like Catholic, as far as it's kind of ritualistic, like it can be easy to grow up in a church where you kind of like learn all the things you should do and all the movements you should make and when to bow, and I don't know if that's been your experience, but
yeah, but I've been to my mom's church too and everything, so I know.
What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Like when you go?
To be perfectly honest, I'm just not into it. It's obviously totally different than the Catholic Church, but
and like evangelical or non-denominational churches pretty much vary according, like they're not. I don't know if you ever thought of like certain churches, like they're trying to replicate the Catholic experience in every location. Almost like a McDonald's is almost like a franchise. I'm not trying to down the Catholic Church or anything, but you pretty much know what to expect when you walk in. And a lot of evangelical or non-denominational churches, it kind of like varies according to the leaders, how they want the service to run, or it's more freestyle, I guess you would say. Do they talk, like, have you gone very much or just a couple times?
Times, yeah.
Do they preach pretty extensively from the Bible, would you say, or?
I think so. I mean, there's a lot of other things like, a lot of people just talking about their personal experience, which is kind of different, but
like from up front, or
just people talking about like what happened to them in their life and everything. I don't know. I mean, I've only been a few times, so I don't.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how that, like, when that could have. Was it people speaking to the whole congregation, the whole group?
Yeah.
And then kind of like giving a personal testimony or a personal story. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, some churches. I mean, there's a variety of churches out there. Christian churches. Some are more emotional. Some are trying to inspire people. Some are trying to just say, okay, let's just teach the Bible and let's stick to that. Others kind of like more formal churches, like they have their certain rituals or certain things they want you to do, which are can be valuable for a lot of people. So yeah, I'm just trying to kind of get a feel for what that church is like. I don't know if probably what they're trying to do, if they're sharing different stories about their faith, is to say, okay, God is moving, God is working. He had, he's developing a relationship with myself, and I was surprised that this happened this week or whatever. And they're trying to help people see that it's about relationship, So I don't know if you've, if you've read the Bible much or
not in a long time.
Yeah. So I mean, there is a story that goes through all the different books of the Bible, and that is that God, the Creator, made us, and gave us free will, gave us a choice to follow Him. We chose, the very first people chose not to, and so that relationship, that close relationship between Creator and creation, was broken because people aren't following God like He's in charge. People, we all want to be in charge of our own lives and do our own things, and so to say, okay, God, I'll do whatever you say, that's putting God first in our lives. And so the whole story of Adam and Eve, and then from that story, the Bible teaches how everyone has this sense of right and wrong. Like their eyes were open, they knew good from evil. It says about Adam and Eve after they, that they ate from the tree. So really what that's saying is everyone has a conscience. And that, as I talk to different people, I have seen that, like everyone has a moral conscience of some sort. They know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's right and wrong, maybe disagree about some of the details, but in general, everyone will say, yeah, there are certain things that are right, certain things that are wrong, and then I have to ask, well, do you follow that, right? Well, do you always do what's right and avoid what's wrong? And
I don't think
nobody does. And so that kind of tells us it's something that, like, if it was only what we believe, like if it was only like our own sense of right and wrong, we would do it. But it's something that's separate from us. It's almost like a referee, in our head that's saying, like calling us out and saying that's not allowed, or don't do that. And we get in these internal thought processes of like, well, but I think I should in this case, and I think I'm an exception, and other people do that and I don't like it when they do it, but I think I have the right to right now. So we come up with excuses, So yeah, so you're saying you probably don't follow yours completely.
I mean, I think I'm a good person, but I mean, I'm not going to say I always do, the right thing.
Yeah.
Or what I think is the right thing, but I try to.
Yeah.
And I feel bad when I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And that there again, and I don't want to say guilt is a good thing, but it can be a good thing if it lets us know that, hey, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. And some people use guilt to their advantage, like try to guilt other people into doing stuff or whatever. But personally, I benefit from those feelings of guilt. I don't want to feel that anymore. And there again, so the Bible talks about that as it's like God speaking to us from the outside and helping us to know right and wrong, and helping us to feel guilty when we don't do right. If we deny it too often, like some people, they just get in these habits of doing things wrong. After a while, they don't feel any guilt because they kind of get, callous to it or whatever, insensitive to it. But so when you say you're a good person, and I appreciate, I think you are, compared to, I appreciate that you're taking the time to talk about this, and you're being very kind. What would you say is your understanding of the standard, like what the Bible says, like as far as people being a good person? What?
Well, it's really hard to say because I'm not an expert. And,
Oh yeah.
You got the Old Testament and New Testament. And, I can't.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know enough.
Yeah. Just your own opinion.
I mean, I can just honestly remember more about what like the New Testament teaches. And, there's stuff like like here's an example I could think of, and I don't remember the exact, but it's like it's something like it's harder for a rich man to. How does that go?
So there was a story of a guy.
Sorry, I'm running out of time. So
okay.
It's like to go through the eye of a needle.
Yeah, it's harder for a rich man to go through an eye of or a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
And then his disciples said, "Well, Lord, how can that be? How can anyone be saved then?" And he said, "With man, it's impossible, but with God, all things are possible." And
but the part that stands out to me, I mean, I guess why I bring up that story and then things that I know about Jesus' teaching is for me the important and this is why I see so many Christians obsess about wealth.
Yeah.
A lot, not a lot, but like some of the higher preachers, and it's like for me it's supposed to be about making sure everyone's society. This is how I feel.
Well, I think you're hitting the nail on the head.
Should be taken care of.
Yes.
And I feel like, but yeah, in my experience with a lot of churches I've been exposed to, things, it's like that's not actually what people think.
Yeah. I agree.
Like, even though that's what it teaches that you should believe.
A lot of churches, it's like the way the building, even the way the building is, it's like this big display of wealth, And they would say, well, we're honoring God, and then, I mean, and then.
But I also believe that a big part of it is supposed to care about people, no matter what, basically.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't see the world the same way as they do, even if you don't, not to say that you can excuse like every sin, but like you're supposed to, you shouldn't dislike people for having different opinions or different race or.
Yeah. One thing I will say is, like, if I believe what I believe, for example, if I believe what the Bible says, is that everyone sins and that we've all gone against God in some way. So like that first sin of, eating the forbidden fruit, we all, like, if we go against our conscience, we're all breaking it. We've told lies, we've stolen maybe, or disrespected our parents, even Ten Commandments. We've maybe disrespected God, used His name disrespectfully. If we've done any of that, we would be guilty. The good things we do, we ought to do anyway, so they can't really pay for the bad things we've done. So it's like, I'll just tell you for what I experienced is that I came to a point, and people helped me realize what the Bible is teaching, is that I can't use my good to pay for my bad, and if I was to die today, I would be guilty as charged before God. And no excuse. He gave me a sense of right and wrong. He gave me the Bible, and like a good teaching, good upbringing, and yet I've rebelled against God in too many ways. And, I wouldn't deserve heaven. I would deserve hell, or just banishment from God. Or, like, if I've turned my back on God, what do I deserve for that?
Okay.
Sorry,
I'm not trying to be rude, but
I'll get 1 minute.
Okay.
I promise I'll be done in 1 minute.
Okay.
So the idea is that God has saved us. We can't save ourselves. God has saved us through offering His Son Jesus on the cross, right? And so if I do believe that, well, then it's something worth sharing. with other people. That's kind of my point. So I'll give you my contact information.
Okay.
And I thank you for. Hope I didn't make you late. Too late.
It should be okay.
All right. This is that's my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I'll probably get this video on there within a couple days.
Okay.
And then, when you see it, if you don't like what you see or anything like that, let me know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't, I would never want to impose
All right.
on anyone.
So I don't think there'd be anything, but
yeah. Well, I usually take what I've talked about with people and write a little bit about, something that comes to mind as a result of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you end up talking to a lot of people in the community, or?
Yeah, and whether it's recorded or not, I do this every day.
Okay.
It's kind of like a daily habit.
Okay.
And then every once in a while people say, yeah, I don't mind if it's recorded, and so those are the ones that I post and write about. So, yeah. Do you live around here?
Yeah, just a couple blocks from here.
Okay. Well, if
yeah, I wasn't trying to be rude. It's just I actually
I
had to go.
I totally understand.